Time to shine today, podcast varsity squad. This is Scott Ferguson, and we are with my really good friend Andrea Johnson, the intentional optimist today. The interview that we had went a little bit longer than usual, but trust me, you'll understand why when you get to read it, or I'm sorry, listen to it. And just the knowledge nuggets that Andrea dropped were just above reproach about really stop dishonoring yourself and lean into your ultimate human potential. So I'm not going to go too long, but if you know anybody that might be in need of somebody to really level up their optimism, level up their core values, then please share this with them or smash that like or subscribe button. My sponsors and affiliates actually like that. So without further ado, here's my really good friend, the intentional optimist, Andrea Johnson. Let's level up. Time to shine today, podcast varsity squad. This is Scott Ferguson, and I have found an absolutely stunning, awesome lady who matches my energy. Which you know that I'm actually an introvert, but when I get out in front of people, I have this energy that people say is infectious. But my good friend here, Andrea Johnson, the intentional optimist, is the epitome of that, and I immensely respect her for her energy and the knowledge nugget she's about to drop on you here. And Andrea Johnson empowers executives and founders to lead authentically with conviction and confidence by uncovering their core values. She enables clients to become impactful leaders. Her passion is equipping female leaders to define a new culture by trusting their own ability to think critically, create imaginatively, Donnie, edit that, and lead effectively. And Andrea, thank you so much for coming on. Please introduce yourself to Time to Shine Today podcast varsity squad. But first, what's your favorite color and why?
Yellow
Yellow.
because it's
Okay.
happy.
I love it.
As a matter of fact, I had to switch out my watch band today to match my outfit because I keep yellow as normal.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought you just planned with me to rock a little pink today because I see some
like
pink in.
salmony. Yeah,
I love it. So, Andrea, give me like kind of like your backstory a little bit because again, you're so infectious with your energy. It's so fun
thank
to
you.
talk to you. Every time you put out YouTube or now your podcast, which we'll get to that as well, people like kind of gravitate to you. So where was the roots? Where did this start?
Oh gosh, I don't really know how it started. I think there was a period of time where I did not honor it and I tried to keep it quiet.
Mm.
But I think a lot of it comes from I inherited from my mother. My mother was one of those ladies that I would call sanguine in the old language. She was like a champagne bottle. You pop the cork and the bubbles just come out. And I was the kid that was always happy to be on stage, always happy to be up front, always happy to lead. But I was also told I was bossy and I was told I was too opinionated. And so as a woman, I tried to tap all that down.
Sure.
But when I hit 50, I just said, I lost my mother to cancer and I had an 8-year-old adopted son. And I said, I hope I live 50 more years and I don't want to
Yeah.
do it that way. I want to
Oh,
just embrace all that I am.
yeah.
And so however God created me to be is how I need to be. And so I've moved forward embracing it that way.
Love it. And so you brought you in kind of to a coaching role. Is
Correct.
that, or is it, are you more kind of consultant coach or a coach consultant, or which way do you kind of go
Ooh,
with
I
that?
like the coach sultant thing because I'm really good at teaching. If what your skills and your strengths are, then you can actually play into those. And I'm really good at relating to people and I can create a safe space very quickly. I learned
Mm.
that through 22 years of being an office manager and operations manager in schools of medicine. Doctors and chiefs would come and actually chiefs of departments would come and sit in my office. So I
Wow.
knew I had the ability to create that safe space, but I needed some training. So while I'm also a good teacher, I am a really good coach. And that's where I got my training through the Maxwell team
Love
and
it.
learned how to kind of help people steward in a specific way into a better leadership space for them because a lot of times we just don't know what our strengths are. So we help people figure out their strengths and then move forward in that way. So I
So I
like the
know
coach Sultan.
I like it too. I think that works
Yeah.
perfect. Me, I will consult when it comes to say real estate because I've been a
Okay.
broker and I own a lot of property and I will like
Sure.
consult in that. But I kind of lean away because I've tried that once before with my coach or in my coaching and they're like, Fergie, it didn't work. But I'm just a big believer that everyone knows what they want. They just don't know how to talk
Yeah.
themselves into it, right? And
Yeah.
so, but every challenge that resides in there, there are answers in there as well.
Yep.
So I'm thinking that one of your superpowers is curiosity. Is that correct?
You bet.
Okay, so
I call myself terminally curious.
ooh, never heard of that. And that is go unpack that a little bit. Like, what do you mean by that?
I literally before Enron had the commercial about why I was that kid.
Right.
And I'm dating myself, of course, but I was the kid that, and that was one of the things that I learned to tamp down was I was
Mhm.
always asking why.
Mm.
Now they might call that in the business world root cause analysis. I always wanted to know exactly why something was happening. My husband is much more of a what do we do? And I am much more of a why do we do it? So
Mm,
parenting my son, that comes up in yes, I understand he's acting that way, but why is he acting that way? So when we start getting curious about things, it drops defenses. It means that we start seeing people in their full humanity. We start looking underneath the behavior. And so as a coach or a coach consultant or whatever you want to call me, as I sit with people and listen, sometimes it's better to ask the why question
sure.
than the what question.
Love it.
And when you start understanding personality types, it's real easy to see how different personality types are going to show up. And when
Sure.
I'm the one asking the why, people find their answers faster.
I love it. I love,
Yeah.
and speaking of that, so you and I would absolutely not work at a networking event because my whole goal in networking event is to meet people, kind of break off into kind of a one-on-one conversation and kind of I use the FORD acronym, family, occupation, recreation,
Sure,
dreams,
sure.
right?
Mhm.
To kind of get to know them. But I think you and I would be so curious about each other, we would
Oh, we
never
would just
really
go
say
down the
anything.
hole.
Yeah, right. It's like because I'm way more interested in other people's stories than telling them mine. It's just I just found it's life's more fun and people open up, like you just kind of said, people lean in and drop the defenses.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So you have like maybe a one-on-one kind of discovery session, and you're kind of sitting with somebody. What kind of secret sauce do you have, if you don't mind sharing, that maybe helps us shine a light on that blind spot that you feel that they might be kind of working through?
Well, we will get into this, I'm sure, but I specialize in looking at core values
Mm,
because I have discovered, pardon me, through my own work that I was dishonoring the basic non-negotiables that I had. And
mm,
I find that 9 times out of 10, when somebody doesn't know what they want, it's because they're dishonoring who they are. They're
mm,
dishonoring their own non-negotiables. And when we can figure out what those are, that's the place for people to start. And immediately boundaries become clear, relationships become easier, decisions become clear because you can start filtering them through what are my core values. And so when I have a discovery session with someone, it's literally asking them specific questions to kind of get down to how do we start figuring out what their core values are?
mm. Let's go deeper on core values. Like, I mean, I feel that I know what mine are, but they also kind of change a little bit, which my coach is always kind of bringing me back to a certain three, which don't want to share them today, but she always kind of brings me back to those because I'll change and be like, my new one's this. She's like, no, it's not. It's this. We're getting back to this,
Bravo.
right?
I am proud of your
Oh
coach.
my gosh, Berta, you hear that? Love it. So core values, do you use a testing system or is it through your powerful question asking, or is it a mix, or how do you get to the root to find those core values that they're dishonoring, that they're not progressing and leveling up through life?
Well, first, really quickly, I'd like to give a quick definition because
Sure,
there's a lot
please.
of talk out there about values and core values, and they're different. We talk in business about values and mission and vision and that kind of thing, and those are all valid, and we talk about aligning with them.
Okay.
Core values are internal. They are principles and priorities that guide your actions. They represent those foundational convictions that you just can't live without. They allow you to navigate all your own complex situations while keeping your identity, Fergie, and
Ooh,
authority at the forefront, right?
right.
Because you want to make sure that just like if you've seen the viral video of the wave of the guy, the Olympic guy that in Tahiti,
Hmm.
he looked completely disembodied from this wave, but he was who he was. And I think that's a beautiful picture.
Right.
So when we talk about core values, people don't understand them because they we're actually taught to actually function and imitate within other people's principles and priorities. We are told this is the way we should act. We hear those words, don't should me. So what happens is if we haven't taken the time to figure out what our own principles and priorities are, then we can't actually be authentic. We can't actually do those things. And many times people will figure out one and they'll say that's my one non-negotiable, and they might live in a way that honors at least one,
Sure.
but they rarely live in a way that honors all of them.
Mm,
And when we don't, then we end up in jobs where like I with responsibility with no authority, always feeling unbalanced, feeling stifled,
sure.
bored. I was
Right.
so bored in my work
Okay.
because I was willing to let my own core values get completely stomped on and wasn't honoring them. And that's why I was miserable. And you
So it's
feel
because like
disempowered.
sorry to interrupt, but it's
No, that's
because
okay.
you were trying to live into what other people's
Yep.
values of yours, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
absolutely.
Got it.
And I do workshops. So I'll do workshops and I'll start them off with, I just want you to know that if you try to tell me that faith, family, and community or country are your top core values, I will push back and we will start over because those are all outside,
You sound
right?
like my coach, dude.
We would get along really well.
Yeah.
But those are all outside of us and we're
Right.
not taught to look inside.
My
You
gosh.
know,
Yeah.
and you even said it yourself. All of our answers are in here.
Sure.
And for some reason, we're afraid to look there
Right.
because we've been, depending on what demographic or community you come from, a lot of times we're taught that what's inside is bad.
Hmm.
And what we need to recognize is that no matter what background you come from, it could be that there are things in there that are not good, but who we were created to be
Hmm.
and the fingerprint that is on us and the way that we were designed specifically to do specific work
Sure.
that was kind of preordained for us was is beautiful. And
Yeah.
if we don't bring that to the table, everybody else is missing out.
They're missing out.
It's like
Absolutely.
having the holiday
Yeah.
meal with no turkey.
Right. And
And
it's,
so go ahead.
no, no, it's like I like to call it like a sin, and I'm not talking a religious connotation.
Sure,
It's
sure.
like sin. The root word of the word for sin is a Greek word of "sine," which means missing the
To
mark.
miss the mark,
Right,
right?
right.
Yes.
So if we're missing the mark,
Yeah,
then we're not really leaning into our ultimate potential. Period.
absolutely.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And so to not get super spiritual, I mean, this is that what I just quoted about being created for a specific person to do specific things.
Right,
We all talk about feeling a calling. I
right.
am called to do like a passion or a gut feeling or
Sure.
something. And so many times, because we're acting within the assumptions and beliefs that we were given,
Right,
that we didn't actually, I use the word critical thinking, we didn't actually break them down. We didn't look at why we accepted them. We've just walked in them
right,
because this is what we do. It's like everybody follow along.
right,
And we might think we're being independent because we're following along with a group that might not be with the group that we started with. But a lot of times we just trade one outside principle set for another. So my work is I don't really give an assessment
okay.
because I think that there are assessments you could take that will help you look at them. I think that you can look at personality types and kind of get clues. I just
Hmm.
actually did a podcast recording coming out next week about clues from your personality type that will tell you what your core values might start to look like
Sure.
because we just have different proclivities in our personalities. But what I do is I actually have a course that I have people walk through. It could even be, I even have a free download that is just a one-page sheet that's just an
Hmm.
exercise. It's a little bit of a brain dump, starting with what would people say are my most important things? What would other people say are non-negotiables for me? And a lot of times you'll find that a family member or a spouse or a best friend or a sibling is going to say, "Oh yeah, don't cross Andrea here," or
Right.
"Don't mess with that," or "That's a third rail."
Right.
People see them in us even if we don't. So
Love it.
starting there, looking inside, kind of that's the place to start, and then we go through a refining process. And if we do coaching, I push back. I just had a coaching session this morning, and literally I said, "So what is the feeling behind that?" She just went, "Oh." Because having someone to do that for you and like your coach does for you, bring you back,
Mhm.
makes all the difference to stay kind of dialed in on them.
I love that with the vision. I'm big on vision
Uh-huh.
myself. Like I take all my clients that I'm blessed to coach here in Florida, and I put them in their car. One, I kind of want to see how their car looks to see, you can kind of tell a little bit about how someone's life is when you see their car, right? And they're in the
Hmm.
driver's seat, and I sit in their passenger seat, and I'll be like, hey, this little rearview mirror here, it's small for a reason. That's your
Mm,
past. It's a great
yeah.
place to learn from, great place to visit every once in a while, but we're not there. And if you need a lot of help there, I'm not your guy. It's kind of therapy, right? Windshield, big, huge. Oh my gosh, where are we going? I'm
Yeah.
scared. This is nuts, right? But then since 2011, they've been putting these things called a GPS on the dashboard, right? That's me. That's why I kind of tell them
Mm.
that we're going to guide them there through their values, with their vision. But I can't buckle the seatbelt if they so choose to. I can't start the car. I
Hmm.
can't put it in drive. But to get to drive, you have to go through neutral. You have to.
Mm.
In every car,
Yeah.
and neutral's there.
Yep.
And so that's where a lot of the magic is made, is being present. And I could
Yeah.
just see you really keeping the people present
Yep.
within their values and before they kind of unleash out into the world. And I love that you said you challenged them, right?
Hmm.
That's amazing. Did you push back?
And
Push
push
back,
back.
which I call it challenge. Yeah. And let me ask you something. When you work with people one-on-one, do you ever preface it, and this is from my own learning, selfish, do you ever preface it with, I'm going to challenge you now, or do you just kind of ask into the question?
It really depends on the person.
Got it.
The,
Okay.
the person I was working with this morning is young. She's only 18. And so I preface it a little more softly
Okay.
with people that, especially if I've worked with you for a while and I
Sure.
know how, because I'm a relator. Like when I knew my Clifton strengths, it's like I am all about the relating and I
Right.
feel that give and take.
Okay.
So I have a real sense of how people react back and forth. I could push back on you like night and day. I mean, just no
Sure.
problem. It's like boom, boom, because
Right.
you've given me that energy. So part of that is just me reading that energy. And I think that's kind of one of my specialties as a coach, being able to do that.
I love that. And you just seem to coach, because I'm a huge believer in coaching from neutrality, right? And I can
Yeah.
just see you really keeping them present and kind of locked in neutral to explode. That's beautiful. So maybe you're kind of in this discovery conversation and you guys are making sure you're the right horse for the course still, to make sure you're the right person. Is there any good question that you wish they would ask you but never do?
Maybe why would I want to coach them?
Love it.
Because I have had coach consultant, I have had consultant type coaching jobs or work where I have been in contract with an organization where they said, we'd like you to coach these people, right? It's like this particular manager needs coaching. So it's like executive coaching. I've done
Yeah.
that work. I don't know how much more of that I will do
I'm
because
laughing because I've been in your I know where you're going.
if somebody doesn't want to be coached, I don't want to coach
Yes,
them.
thank
That's why I
you.
left management. I
Right,
didn't want to manage anyone.
right,
I wanted to help develop you. And
right.
so if you are coming to me and I wish I had had this question asked me before I had one client last summer because she was not corporate, but she was independent.
Mhm.
But I didn't really want to coach her because she told me from the very beginning that she'd already decided what she wanted to do.
Okay,
And so I think knowing why we each want to be in the relationship is extremely important.
love it. Yeah, make sure that it's right, because one of the reasons why I kind of started this show in almost 450 episodes in is that, one, I was super selfish. I want to meet people like you, pick your brain to level up my coaching, right? But now
I love
it's
that part of doing it too.
right. And the best part of it now, well, not the best, the second best part is that if I'm not the right horse for the
Yeah.
course, I've interviewed 400 people that could be. And our
Yeah.
moniker here, our credo at Time to Shine Today, is we don't want to have anyone to feel like they have no one. Because if you
Yeah.
heard my story, it's told on a lot of podcasts, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
They understand why I feel that way. I don't want to have anyone left in the dark. So
Yeah.
appreciate what you're doing out there. So have you seen the movie Back to the Future?
Of course.
All right. I can't
I'm a
believe
Gen
next,
Xer.
right. Next year it's going to be 40 years old. That's insane, right? It's crazy. I was like 12, 13 when it came out. Anyways, dating myself now. So with let's get that DeLorean with Marty McFly. Let's
Mm.
go back to the double deuce, the 22-year-old Andrea.
Oh,
Is there any knowledge, like, not to change anything, because your journey's been pretty darn good, okay? But to maybe help her shorten her learning curve or blast through maybe
yeah.
just a little bit quicker. What would you say to
It is okay for you to think for yourself.
her?
I mean, uh, my 22, year 21, I had just come out of 12-week inpatient program for bulimia and depression. And so I was heading into graduate school or coming out of, yeah, heading into graduate school and looking at becoming a theologian or
Okay.
so I have nearly a theology degree, a master's in theology.
Wow.
And so I managed to get myself into a situation where I abdicated my ability to think for myself to smarter, more
Right.
educated people, right?
Love it.
Or just more trustworthy people. I don't know. And so I think, and that's what literally and if there's ever a last question on a podcast, it's always please think for yourself. It's always that, because if I had known that, I would not have gone down some of the roads that I didn't get anywhere bad by the world's standards.
Mhm.
I didn't make any really bad turns per the world's standards. But what I had to go through in the last 7 years to break down the roads that I went through internally
Mm.
and the work that I needed to do internally would have been so much smaller.
This
And
goes,
so,
you're
yeah.
so consistent. Like you're dishonoring yourself when you weren't thinking for yourself. That was
Yes.
your words. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. So do you coach men as well, or do you really lean to the lady side the most?
I always answer this question with the right man comes along, I will coach him. So
Understand.
far, no, I've had one opportunity, but it was in that corporate situation,
No.
and my it was already full, and I had a colleague who works with me who actually was a better fit for him
Okay,
anyway.
nice.
I really gravitate towards women,
Okay.
but I will say this, part of that is because part of my learning was understanding the ability for women to, I needed to break out of my own personal mm, I don't know how to say it without my sister says I'm now liberated woman. It's like, and that's okay for me to say that. I feel really good
Say
about
what you
that.
want. Yeah.
And I'm still learning to, like I said, to stand tall and own my own things.
Yeah.
But I'm also learning how different things like patriarchy, misogyny, and those kind of things, they damage men. And now that I only have one child, he's precious, he's adopted. It was an
Yeah.
amazing situation. And it's not a girl, right?
Right.
So it's like, I want to make sure that I know how to not only coach women
Hmm.
out of or into bigger things, I also want to make sure that I know how to nurture
Sure.
men. So I'm open, but I
Yeah.
gravitate towards women.
That's thank you for being transparent about it. And
Mm.
that's like a lot of people be like, oh, I just feel this, but you actually explained why. And also like I'm adopted as well. So thank you so
Mm.
much for like doing that for one, but also saying, hey, you want to nurture your son as well. And there's so many lessons that we pick up when we're in sessions with people that we put into our own life. Sometimes you ever feel like you're coaching yourself while I know you're
Oh,
present with them, but
oh,
you're like,
absolutely.
dang, I got to write that down for me, right?
Yes. And there are times that's when I really ask permission. There will be
Yeah.
times when I'll say, do you mind if I share a personal experience?
Okay.
That will be, and sometimes that is what puts them over the edge
Hmm.
because we coach from any coach is going to do this. It's just whether or not they're honest enough about
Right.
it
Right.
and transparent enough about it. Every coach coaches from their own experience.
All the
Some are
time.
better at holding true space for other people,
Yes.
but we only have awareness of the things that we've been through.
100%.
So it's like we do coach from the things that we've learned.
Sure.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I can be more transparent and honest is because that's all I have. Even with my son the other day, I said, we're only aware of what we're aware of when we're aware of it.
Right.
And we only know what we know when we know
Yeah.
it. And
Yes.
it's like that small rearview mirror. Don't look back
Yeah.
and be upset, but look forward because tomorrow you will have known this.
Right. But only to be
And
aware, you've
tomorrow.
got to be in that neutral situation to
Yeah.
be aware of how you, I love it. So how does Andrea want her dash remembered? That little line in between your incarnation date and your
Oh,
expiration date. Hopefully it's way down the road, right? Your
yeah.
life date and death date. How does Andrea want her dash remembered?
I think it's the by the people that I've actually helped. I like to call myself a transformational leadership coach.
Mhm.
And I talk about moving people from being disempowered to being magnetic and to be able to have people say, Andrea actually helped me be, I don't need to be the person at the top of the pyramid. I don't need to be the person on the stage. I don't mind it. I'm a performer. I love it.
Yeah.
But what I want is to see how many people I put up there, right? How
Mm.
many other people can I put up there? As a women's leadership coach, my dream would be to coach the next a female president or
Mhm.
the next elected official or the next, even locally, like I want to coach women to come into their own in leadership that doesn't confine them anywhere. So I think that dash would be just how many people did I put up on the stage or
I
help?
love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I'm sure that there's a lot of mentoring that kind of
Yeah.
goes
Yeah.
into a lot of free work as well that I'm kind of seeing it. It is, but I
That's
believe,
the fun work.
yeah. Oh, 100%. I
Yeah.
mean, I go to the Palm Beach County Jail on Sundays, or
Mm,
one Sunday a month, go to church, go there, and they allow me to coach their short-term non-violent criminals,
that's
right?
cool.
And so
Hmm.
they're like 30 days or less, help them set their vision for when they get out.
Mm,
And this is Palm Beach, so some of them have like daddies that want to pay for the coaching after if they have it.
mm.
But just doing that and just hearing their stories, it just helps me. It helps
Yeah.
me level up. I'm a big believer in wanting to live a life of options and not obligations. To me, that's success. And to be in a position to be able to do that, it feels awesome, right? I
Well, it
mean,
always keeps
yes,
you
yes,
learning new perspectives
right, yeah,
every single time.
right.
Yeah.
And the more we mentor, the more immortal we become, right? It's like
Yeah.
we pour into people and they'll be like, "Oh, Fergie told me that," or Andrea
Yeah.
said that to me. That's
Hmm.
excellent. So, what do you think people might misunderstand the most about Andrea?
That, like you, they might think I'm an extrovert. They might think that I need to be around people or need to be on the stage because I do shine, right? It's like
Right.
I just get out there and I work with the local chamber, the Business Women's Roundtable,
Hmm.
and we met yesterday and I'm the special events coordinator and we have another financial panel coming up. We do monthly meetings. They're like, would you please be the moderator again? I'm like, sure. But the
Sure.
reality is I am much more introverted. I am a internal processor. I'm a deep thinker
Hmm.
and I need my time alone. In my house, I've instituted mental health Mondays.
Okay.
That is after supper. We each get to go our separate ways. And if I want to go sit in my bed and watch a K drama, which is my favorite
There you
little
go.
guilty pleasure,
Sure.
then nobody gets to veto that. If we want
Right.
to spend time together, that's fine.
Sure.
If I want to stay down here and watch a show with my husband, that's fine. But I need my space. So I think the
Mm,
biggest misconception is that I'm out there and an extrovert. I'm not. I
mm,
am very much an
right.
introvert and an internal processor.
You're
Hmm.
definitely a sister from another mister, man.
I
I'll tell you what,
know.
I'm the same way. Like
When you said that earlier, I'm like, oh, that's
I
me.
can go to a coffee shop, right,
Mhm.
and sit by myself, absolutely no problem. And one
All
of the
day long.
biggest, I wouldn't call it a complaint, but one of the things that agent will come back to me is they're like, you didn't spend enough time with them after your
Yeah.
speech, right? So you get up there and I'll mingle and talk. And yes, I would love to help people more and get compensated, but I'm also really in a hurry to go see a site, go
Yeah.
just sit
To
and have a cup of
decompress,
coffee. Yes, decompress,
right? And to
which
recharge your battery.
exactly,
Hmm.
exactly. So yeah, but it's a blessing at the same time. But I've been
Hmm.
getting a lot better at it, and it's a dub that I can stack, I guess. So
Yeah.
how about like it? Does anything kind of keep you up at night?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No,
Um,
thank you
I
for your honesty. Yeah.
I am a worrier, and
Okay.
so that is something that I work on a lot.
Hmm.
I have, like I said, I have bulimia and depression, so I have anxiety. So I have worked. I've been through it, right? I've
Sure.
been through the depression. I've been through psychiatric work. I've been on antidepressants. But for me, laying awake at night, I a lot of times am thinking about how I'm going to make whatever needs to happen happen.
Sure.
And being able to teach myself to have, I do some great devotions at the end of the day and some
Yeah.
meditation at the end of the day, and reminding myself that everything always looks better tomorrow
Truth.
because I
Yeah.
am a morning person and the sun rises and yellow is my favorite color. And so
Yeah.
it just looks brighter and different. And when I'm
Sure.
tired, and I have to remind myself that when I'm really tired, that's almost, it's like opening the door
Right.
to the demons and that will keep me up at night. But it's usually over things that I really can't control and I try to control.
Oh my
And
gosh. Yes. Yeah. Oh
am
yeah.
I
Yeah.
poking holes in you right now?
Oh, 100%. Yep. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
vibing, that's for sure. Because
Yeah.
that's the only thing that will. It's never money. It's never like
Mm.
I think balance is junk, right? Balance is
Oh,
like
absolutely.
10 on here, 10
It's a
on
fallacy.
here.
Yeah.
You have balance. Like the cliche, balance is when you're dead. Like I'm
Right.
a huge believer in harmony. Huge
Yeah.
believer. It's like you're gonna have, like I always with metaphorically say a jazz band. Like
Oh.
the God is your spiritual is like the drums, right? The
Mm.
horns might be your money, community might be the piano, the guitar might be work and family and so on. But if one of them's out of tune,
Yeah.
it kind of sounds like junk a little
Hmm.
bit, right? But I'm not asking you to be Beethoven or Eddie Van Halen or
Hmm.
anybody that's good on any of those instruments. But if we can get those right,
Yeah.
then you have a harmonic life. Where
Yeah.
with me, that's where I will be kept awake because I'm seeing something where there's not harmony in
Yeah.
it, even if it's
Hmm.
for like, let's say I coached you, like, oh my
Okay.
gosh, right? And it's something that you and I are working through, and I missed a question that I wanted to ask you and stuff like that will kind of keep
Mm.
me up a little bit, right?
Hmm.
But no, I think we're on the same wavelength there. Absolutely. So, what is Andrea's definition of a life well lived?
Well, I was going to go back to you said balance and harmony.
Mm,
And for
yeah,
me, I call it fulfillment,
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So I would say a life well lived is a life in which not only I find fulfillment and purpose, but that I actually muster that up or foster that in other people and give them the ability to flourish. So flourishing is a life well lived for me. So when I am flourishing, other people are flourishing. And so the work that I do is to help other people flourish and to do it on a community level.
Yeah, you do it in spades. I mean, absolutely. It's just your little Spitfire, man. This is so much fun. Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. We are back, and Andy, one of these days we will meet face to face,
Mhm.
whatnot. We'll talk about some of these questions for probably 15 or 20 minutes. But today
Okay.
you have 5 seconds to answer them with no explanations, and I promise you they can all be answered that way. You
Okay.
ready to level up?
Go.
Let's go. Here we go. Andy, what is the best leveling up advice you've ever received?
Take time to look back down the mountain, see how far you've come.
Yes, it's stack the dubs. I love it. Share one of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
Weekly reviews.
Love it. So you see me walking down the street or maybe at an event, you're like, man, Fergie looks like he's in his doldrums, right? What book might you hand me that has really kind of sparked something in you to lean into your ultimate self?
The questions are the answers.
Okay, I've never heard of that. Who wrote that? Do you remember?
I
If
could
not,
pull it off
Donnie will
my
find
shelf.
it. Don't worry about we're good.
And
What's
I may have it a little bit wrong, but it's the questions are the answers.
got you? Your most commonly used emoji when you text.
I don't really use emojis that much.
You used one
Maybe.
with me on LinkedIn yesterday.
Oh, because that was easy. It was like a thumbs up.
I
Okay, the winking one.
I love it. I love it.
I use that one.
Nicknames growing up?
Andy, and you've called me that twice.
Oh, damn, I'm so sorry.
No,
Sorry
that's
about
no, it's
that.
totally fine.
So do you have a hidden talent and or superpower nobody knows about until now?
Well, I was a jazz singer
Oh,
in
wow.
college. I sang, and so when you said you started naming off the instruments, it's like, oh, and I'm actually seeing the guys that I played in my band with. I'm like, yep, that guy played the piano and this guy was
Love
on the
it.
bass. Yeah.
Chess, checkers, or Monopoly?
Monopoly.
Monopoly, me too. Headline for your life.
It's gonna sound cliche
Yeah,
because it's stand tall and own it, I guess now.
love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Go to ice cream flavor.
Can't have sugar. I can't eat sugar, but I used to eat Jamocha almond fudge.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. It's so good. Love it. So
Baskin
there's a
Robbins.
sandwich called the Andy J. Build that sandwich for me. What's on that sandwich?
Cheddar cheese,
Mm.
apple, like Granny Smith apple,
Oh,
and
okay.
grilled.
Oh, that sounds actually really good. Like really, really good. Favorite charity and or organization like to give your time and or money to?
I give to Together We Rise, which is all about taking care of kids in foster care, making sure that they have bags and bikes and stuffed animals and stuff, so that they're not carrying around garbage bags.
I love that. That's amazing. Together we rise. Beautiful. And last question, we can elaborate on this one a little bit, but what's the best decade of music? 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
80s.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Why
no,
though?
actually, 70s. I think 70s. Yeah, I'm a yacht rock girl.
Rock, I love it. Do you have XM radio? They actually have a yacht rock channel. It's awesome.
No, we're Apple Music people, but
Okay.
there's plenty of yacht rock channels out there.
Oh
Like I
yeah.
had one on Pandora and then we
Yeah.
switched to Apple. But growing up in Korea, we were just a little bit behind. So I was on the Armed Forces Network.
Right, right.
So even though I graduated from high school in 84
Okay.
and then in college had all the 80s music, which I love, I was
Yeah.
listening to that at the pool yesterday. But I'm really more of a 70s
No,
person.
I feel you. I actually,
Yeah.
whenever I'm kind of editing a podcast, I love the 70s, not editing, but building my show notes or whatnot. Donnie just shot me a look like, you don't edit anything, but like when I'm kind of building my show notes, I like to leave like 70s music on because there's like stories that are being told and the
Oh
music
yeah.
just relaxes my brain. Now I graduated in 90, so 80s is kind of my jam and everything
Yeah.
that kind of happened in that decade of decadence and whatnot. So, but no,
Oh boy,
absolutely.
yeah.
Okay, so how can we find you, Miss and Andrea? She almost keep on saying Andy. How can we find you, Andrea?
Well, I am the intentional optimist. And so my website is the easiest place to find that, theintentionaloptimist.com. And I am on LinkedIn and Instagram is where I participate the most. If you
Okay.
DM me and say that you heard me on Time to Shine today, I will know that you're not spam and I will respond. And you can also find me in my podcast, Stand Tall and Own It,
Okay.
on YouTube, those kinds of places. But my website is the easiest.
Got you. I love it. And you do have is it a course, the the values course, in
I
which will
do.
be in the show notes, squad.
Yep.
And I got to tell you, very, very affordable for what you're going to get. But tell us a little bit about that course.
Sure. It's a simple course that walks you through the main steps of the process of uncovering your core values. So
Okay.
it's, I think, 5 modules and includes downloads and all kinds of stuff. It's, again, it's very simple, but you can, if you don't need that much, you can go with the free download, which is
Okay.
just a PDF. But then on top of that, I have a coaching program that you walk through the course, you get the course and 5 coaching sessions that
Oh,
help where I push back, right? Where I help you
I
walk through
love it.
everything.
Yeah,
And I find that some people really need that. So
I
both of
love it.
those are available.
And there everything's on our nice, clean, beautiful website. And again, that URL, the intentional optimist, that's baller, man. That's really
Thank you.
cool. By the way, in squad, I'm gonna do a 3 value giveaway. So I want you to put core value in the first 3 people to put core value in. I don't care if it's Pinterest, Instagram, anywhere we're going to post this or text core value to 561-440-3830 in the Ferguson or the Ferguson team. The Time to Shine today will buy your course. The first 3 people
Oh,
I will do
thank
that
you.
for. And it'll be on my dime. And then, but you have to contact me so I can reach out to Andy to make sure that she's compensated on that. And Andy, if you could, please leave us with one last knowledge nugget that we can take with us, internalize, and take action on.
No matter what anybody else tells you, you have the ability to decide for yourself in any area.
Love it.
Absolutely. Every single time.
I love that take ownership. It's
Don't have to do
beautiful.
it by yourself,
Yes.
but you can do it.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. And squad, I have pages of notes, and I'm sure that if you're listening and really internalizing, you do as well. There's a period of time that Andrea did not lean into her innate talents. She really found herself kind of wandering a little bit, but then she found herself really leaning in and helping. Now it's kind of the masses that she's starting to do. She's really good at teaching, and she let that kind of really play into her strengths. She's terminally curious. Which now she let us know that was root cause analysis, but she's terminally curious. She helps her clients drop their defenses, or even if prospects or anyone she talks to, she's so easy to talk to and helps them drop their defenses because she doesn't want you dishonoring who you are when you're out there. Lean into your internal principles, your priorities, and that somebody like Andrea really helped guide you there. Let me make a warm introduction to Andrea. She's out there planting trees that she's really never going to sit in the shade of because she's
Mm.
pouring into people. She does things for the intention, not the attention. I don't see her out there blasting, look at me, look at me. She's really pouring into people to help them stand tall on their own things. She wants to help you move from disempowered to magnetic, like she is. Like she walks in to her chamber and they're like, "Oh, Andrea, can you run this?" Yeah, like she wants you to be out there. You don't have to be an extrovert. Like people like myself, like Andrea, we kind of like work through. I call it my alter ego. I kind of push my
Mhm.
alter ego out there. She wants you to live fulfilled with purpose and she wants you to live like her, kind of in really pour into others, foster that, and allow others around you to flourish. Because you have, at any time, place, wherever you're at, you have the ability to decide for yourself. She reminded us of that. And again, she also reminded us you don't have to do it alone. She said you can build a team, a squad like her around you to not have to do it alone. And that's what my good friend Andrea does. She loves up her health. She loves up her wealth. She's hungry, but still humble. She's absolutely stunning. She's earned a varsity letter here at Time to Shine today. Thank you so much, Andrea, for coming on. We absolutely love your guts.
Thank you. It has been my absolute pleasure.
Yay! We'll chat soon.
Okay.